Hello guys, welcome to the video. Banana Luck here, and today we're back with another review of the weekend events. So if we look over here, we have the Special Divine Summoning. So this is the 10x summoning event, not to be confused with the one that we had just last week, or rather 2 weeks back with Hatsuit, where there was a 2 times for legendaries and 10 times for designated heroes. So this is just 10 times for the designated heroes and with Valkyria and Brokkir. And most exciting part will also be this surprise spirits. So the last time that this happened, I was unfortunate enough that I did 180 summons and got 0 legendaries. So this would mean that for every 1 legendary that you pull, you get extra 1 for free. And I don't think this was stacked with the existing banner with Valeriya and Brokkir. So that means you have to make the decision of whether you need either of these 2 heroes or do you want to just save up and get this 1+1 legendary. Of course, if you are, new to the game and you don't really have much heroes going on, I would recommend getting this instead of the special summoning event, because after all, there's no 2x on the legendaries. You're still getting them at normal rates, so might as well get a free legendary from this. Of course, it could be a gamble. You could get someone really shit like Shamir and Ashor with Courage as well, so that's totally up to you. But in this video, we'd like to focus on these 2 heroes. So Valeriya, and first and foremost, she's from 2 factions, Chaotic and Nightmare. So Nightmare would mean that she benefits from attack speed. So this pairs well with Torador as well as Wrath, but if we just look clearly at her spells, it's quite a unique kit. So basic damage to 1 enemy, so this is quite straightforward. So she's probably going to be single target. And her ultimate increases the damage by 80%. And each attack consumes 10% of her current HP, and she generates stacks of power of the sword. So burst damage to the main target increased by 50% with each stack after it ends. So this means that you will get up to 90 times 8 stacks. That's quick math, 720% burst damage. And this stacks with this, so that's about 1120% damage to the main target and 4 targets around them. So I still feel she isn't really like gonna be an AoE unit. She's probably gonna come in handy in like Guild Boss or maybe even Arena, because all Chaos factions are, Arena Mastery heroes, as you can see here. And we also have this as well, Plunging Slash. So slashes that target enemy dealing 240% damage, and this triggers automatically, and this goes up to 300% and applies a vulnerability to physical damage, which is at 20%. So if you already have Torador, this doesn't really help because it's not gonna stack with his 30% damage reduction. Damage vulnerability increase. And to add on as well, during the ultimate, basic attacks reduce the cooldown of this by 1, so it reduces by 3 seconds at max. So this probably means that she will trigger this quite a bit with enough attack speed, especially during her ultimate. The last one, I think this is where the self-heal comes in. So if you did notice that during her ultimate, she cannot be healed, but if you look at this Wheel of Steel, during her ultimate, instead of actually healing for 2% HP per second, she actually enters unyielding state upon taking fatal damage, and she dies after that. So this is a bit of a unique kit, because normally unyielding state just kicks in and then you die after that. But for this hero, unyielding state only kicks in when she has ultimate on. So it's gonna be quite interesting where when you decide to use her ultimate, like you have to time it in such a way that if you know your units are gonna die, your Valeriya is gonna die, that's where you pop her ultimate. And yeah, I think besides that, nothing really much to talk about here. This can only be triggered 1 time. So if you don't activate it in time and it triggers this normal restoration, that means that you're not gonna get the HP recovery, or you're not going to get an unyielding state, basically. And I think, other than that, her talent, this is quite in line with the Chaos faction. So, if you just see Gun over here, his Lord bonus grants 60% damage at 30% HP, which is in line with Valeriya's skills as well. And faction allies also get 20% extra attack and defense bonus. So all in all, you can see how her kit fits very well when you have Gun in the team as well. And of course, arena cost reduced. This is quite straightforward because all Chaos factions have this, unique ability. So they are built for more arena compared to any other content in the game. So that's for Valeriya. If you ask me at a glance here whether I'll try to pull for her, I don't think so, because she isn't really like what I need to push on. What I need is an AoE mage, or more like healers like Elowen or Sadie. So I don't really see where she fits. So I'll prefer not to pull her if I do get a legendary. But moving on to Brokkir, this is the interesting guy. So when I first started off with the game, I was mixing him up with Ashore because they both look the same. Short dwarfs, but this one was blue, and I didn't notice that. And he's from the Northern faction, so that means that he benefits from the Northern buff, where, periodically grants faction allies 20% shield for 20 seconds. And the more of these units from the Northern Throne that you have, the more frequently this shield pops up. And his talent is quite unique as well. Reduces adjacent allies' damage taken by 10%. So I can see how this will come in really handy, especially during Gear Raid 2, because your units are going to be parked in the center, and you're going to have Brokkir as one of those in the front. So when the hero is applied with freeze, the reduced damage increases up to 30%. And you see why this particular line, it doesn't make sense now, because freeze causes you to be unable to take any action, but you see why it makes sense later. So normal attack, nothing much to talk about here, standard defender stuff, but the ultimate is where things get interesting. So this is where he gains freeze for 80% of his max HP, and the shield strength goes up to 120%. And on the final level, it decreases the rage cost, the rage cap, and then increases initial rage. And this is where, you can sort of predict when you want the extra damage reduction to come in. So I guess that's where he comes in handy. As well as, his passives over here that inflicts freeze on enemies. And, when he has freeze on his own, the chance of freezing 2 enemies goes up to 30%. And at max, that's up to 35%. So you can see how most of his kit actually pairs well with, what his ultimate is for. And this is similar to unyielding state again, but this time around, this is very unique in the sense that instead of going into unyielding state, you become immune to all damage and you gain freeze. So that means that you are able to heal through this even after, you take tons of damage. Because you become immune to damage, but you are able to at the same time, be healed up. And this lasts for up to 12 seconds actually. So that's much longer than what you have from Decimus at 8 seconds, for example. And this unit will come back. But I'm not too sure if this only takes place once, because it doesn't seem very clear. Like in Valeriya's case, you saw that, the effect can only take place once. So not sure if it's going to be the same for Brokkir. And I noticed that I didn't take a look at Valeriya's awakenings. So let's have a look. So like what I said just now, attack speed. This matters a lot for her. So, this reduces her plunging slash cooldown by a bit with that 100 attack speed increase. Standard 5% attack. And then this is defense penetration, crit rate. There's a chance. So this increases the stack by 12 times. So that means that it can go up to, let's say, about 1080% instead. So all in all, it just seems that the more awakenings she has, the more power, the more damage she's gonna do. Whereas if we take a look at Brokkir, it's gonna be the complete opposite. So this inflicts freeze on enemies, up to 5 enemies when shield from your ultimate is gone. Whereas this gives HP and then increase healing when he's inflicted by freeze and shield effects, damage reduction across the board, and when Iceberg expires, restore 100% max HP. So this means that you won't even need Brokkir to, have a healer beside him if you get this awakening. He'll simply just heal up to max HP once Iceberg expires. So onto the epics, Brian, what's her name again? Imani, as well as Jaquaf. Yeah, Janquaf. I think this unit's it's probably a nice to have. I don't think you have to pull this time round just for this units, because there was the Oleg event like a few weeks back where he was one of the featured epics, but I didn't get him at all. So that was a pity. But in all things, in all fairness, if let's say like you're considering whether or not to pull this weekend, I'll say that if you already have a neat defender in place, you won't really need Brokkir. If let's say you have like Regulus, Oleg, Isode, you probably don't see where Brokkir comes in. I mean, it's probably going to be a nice to have if let's say you're tackling Gear 8 too. But I don't think it's going to be that necessary because a lot of the epic defenders are going to, suffice for this. And I'll very much prefer to actually wait for the special event where you get one extra legendary hero. I think this is gonna be the case for most of us. Unless you're a whale, then you're just gonna pull on both banners and also pull, for the 1+1 legendary this weekend. But with that, I think we've come to the end of the video, guys. So I wish you all the best in your summonings this weekend and see you in the next one.